real problem because each folder is owned by a different person, different staff throughout the conference. So we'll need to individually track down those staff members and tell them to hand out those folders' owner status to our shared account. Also, because we use SITCON.org as our primary account, so when users creating documents in Gmail and in gmail.com domain, they wouldn't be able to transfer those documents to SITCON.org account. And that's the limitation of Google Docs, and we think it's a real problem. So in June 11th, 2003, soon after the first year SITCON, we decided to create a brand new administration system for our administration team. Especially, most of us in the administration team aren't major in information science or computer science, and some of them even can't write programs or build up a website. So we'll need to use we'll need to employ a easy to use front end for those who can't do this all by themselves. Yes. So we create the project. Roboconf literally means Roboconf or radish pit. And its original name is called SITCON Internal Tracking and Conference Operating Network. But since it's recursive definition and we can't tell the project and the conference itself, so we changed into radish pit. So it's a meaning about each radish find its own pit. So each staff would find their own task and wouldn't be left out too. So this is our primary feature in this project. We need to deploy a website with issue tracking and serious notification. Because we have much mail in our mailing list. We can't just send mail to tell you that you have issues undone, because that would just make more mail and you would probably easily ignore them. So, and also we need serious personal administration so that none of the people outside the administration team could access them. Also because we have many occurrences and incidents to use our staff information. We'll need to create and deploy a easy method for us to access those staff members' information. For example, nicknames, IDs, and their probably clerk accounts. Yes. And also we'll need to find a place for centralized document control. We need to ensure that all those documents and all those records could be easily preserved. Because if you put your document in Google Docs, you just assign those documents to that year's primary organizer, and the documents will be lost after, for example, 2 or 3 years of conference, because you probably won't know who the organizer is. So we'll need a central place for document control. And finally, because the Google Calendar in our collaboration is not easy to use enough, so we projected to do a collaborative agenda. For example, if you set a deadline for a specific issue, you could sync the calendar with your phone, and you would know on your desktop rather than receiving mails. And here's our website architecture. We use Django for our composition, so we create a core module in our whole project that holds templates and all the, for example, Bootstrap or Foundation style sheets and some shared code. For example, JSON outputs and so on. And here's our primary middleware, different from other Django websites. We have a notification queue which could send you, which could call you or send you text messages or email to tell you that your issue is due. And we have a face ACL, similar like the ones in the file system, that could restrict and have a granularity on access control. And we also have a revision-based document module that is similar to Wikipedia or other version controlling system. We could track each document's modification status, who they are, and what did they modified. Yes. And finally, we have two front ends. One is the HTML front end, with is just a website. And if you use correct header, which is X request with HTTP header, you could call our Ajax API for some public and private data. So we'd like to talk about Face ACL. This is an impressive implementation in our documents control. As you can see in Google Docs, you could only restrict one with can view, can comment, and can edit. Yes, and you could not even deny them with access. For example, if you have personal data or the participants' data that includes their real name or phone number, you would like to deny all staff members except those who are in charge of these data. So our Face ACL grows like this. First, you have a capability limit on how much permission you can gain. And if you use deny declaration on the current object, for example, file, you would deny them the maximum access. Okay, I'll take an example. For example, if you have a folder which you would like to restrict all the staff members to access, except the venue team, you would set privilege to deny all access and allow venue team, for example, group 11 access. And in our access control method, we use Django's user and groups. But it's different in our meaning that groups is just like tags. For example, you would have organizer or team leader group that act like tags, and you could assign different control on different tags. So, for example, my account would be applied administration team, team leader, and server operator. So I could access to Python shell, Django's Python shell, and all the internal data which is not usually exposed to end users. So in our permission model, you would grow permission from 0 to its maximum capability. So if you are not explicitly granted for a permission, but you are not explicitly denied the permission, then you won't gain it, because this is an internal system. So we won't allow any people to exploit or to access data that was not intended for them to access. And it would inherit and propagate from the child item to the root item. So if you can gain more privilege on your parent object, for example, you have no explicit permissions on one file, but you have the permission set on the folder, then you could gain the permission from the folder. But if the parent folder is more restrictive, then it's ignored. So you can set very granularity control on each file and folder. And here's our document module, just like Wikipedia. We use Django's module, but we create an abstraction on those bare modules that we have file system node that act like files and folders, which inherited from a base class called node. And each file node consists of, for example, names, permissions, who start the folder. And starting means to track the folder changes. And is the folder archived? To archive is to tell that this folder is not in use, for example, after 1 year's conference. So we could deny any access though you have permissions, but if it's archived, then it's only server operators who can unlock the files. So that could ensure all the files integrity during the following years. So we have files, revision, and text blob. Each file is just act like a pointer to a specific revision. And in the revision, we will record who and what it modified, and what does this revision act like. For example, we could have a remote link in revision that link to Hackpad or Google Docs that act like a remote reference. But in some part of the revision history, you might want to copy the document back to our system. So in the revision, you can specify from remote to local, and thus you can track different revisions and know that it's located at different place. And finally comes the text blob. Currently, our files are stored in database because we use Heroku as our hosting, as our website hosting. So we could not store any permanent files in the file system, because after each git commit, our server or dynos in Heroku will be washed out and restored. Thus, we can only save our data in our database. So we use text blob like Wikipedia to abstract those texts in our system. And this enables us to, for example, upload images or files that wouldn't require content delivery network or CDNs. It's not a very good approach, but you would know that it's probably the currently best solution on these access controlled files to prevent others' access. And finally comes our notifications. In our system, since we are going to track down each individual members, we use text messages of Nexmo and voice calls to inform you that you have issues due and you should resolve those issues on the website. And we are not using Redmine on issue tracking because it's too complex for a mid-sized conference. And if you have used Redmine before, you would know that it has too many status to track down. For example, new, assigned, resolved, and conflict or closed. And you need to specify your percentage. And it's not suitable for a small or mid-sized conference. Even I think a conference with 1,000 people, since it have only 50 or 60 staff, it wouldn't need to make use of Redmine, in my opinion. Yes. So staff never ignores mail again after our implementation of administration system, because they can't get rid of it. You can't just close your Gmail and pretend nothing happens, because you would receive voice calls and text messages and physical attack from your team leader and so on. And it's more easy for you to track down those unresolved issues. So let's see our applications on this website. This is our issue tracker. It acts a little bit like GitHub's issue tracker, and it enables you to use Markdown or adding tags or watch the issues. And we even use this to do some really simple voting or opt-in statistics. For example, we are printing our name cards, and since we have centralized staff information, we could just ask anyone who like to print their name cards to start on the issue, and we could just export those who start the issue. We could list their names, and we can export their data directly to CSVs, and thus use InDesign to export their name cards. So it's really fluent in the following process. And we have centralized document control, which is not fully completed on the editor side, since we currently use CodeMirror for Markdown editing, and you can see there's plenty of features, for example, like starring or modifying documents. We hope to implement spreadsheets, but it's kind of future aspects. And we have centralized staff information which you could get publicly using JSON APIs in the staff.sitcon.org. And this enables us to do some extra websites. For example, we have a nice SITCON about page for each staff. This is a side project of our creative and web team, and he used Angular.js in fully front-end approach. And he is enabled to do so because we expose an JSON API, and he's able to call and fetch each staff member's name, data, and their avatar, publicly available. And here's our challenges during the process. Because we have narrow gap between development and production, because this is our internal system, we need to use it immediately. So we have not much time to test it. So we are often on call, even when are participating in some activities. We need to on call to solve the website conflicts or errors or missing imports. And we have 726 commits over 10 months from last June to the current to today. And we have daily new features pushed on the website, and each staff member will be available to test them. But since we have diverse languages choice in staff members, basically I'm the only one who use Python in SITCON. The rest of them use PHP or Ruby. So I'm a minor one, and I couldn't find much staff members to use. I couldn't force them to use Python with me. So we'll need to push our website to more complement with other languages as possible. And our future aspect is to generalize theming and template. Since it's our internal system, we do not enforce much theming feature, and it's not easily for others to use the website. In the current status, you need to remove every text, including SITCON, in our project in order to use this project in your self-evidence. But we hope to solve the issue and transfer it into a poor open source project in the future. And we hope to rewrite it. Front end in a fluid and address-based manner that would allow everyone to do their own extensions on our website. And currently, installing is much easier in the past months since we have a major revision on setting style of Django. But we'll need to try to let the setup as easily as possible to serve more conferences. And we hope to use the JSON API to create a push notification application to enable others to constantly track down their current issue status. So our repository is at sitcon-tw/staff.sitcon.org and would rename it as soon as we generalize the project to Roboconf, and hope everyone could help to contribute or participate in SITCON as a staff member. Yes. Okay, so any questions? No questions? You could freely ask about or ask me about our workarounds in our repository. Okay. No? Okay, then thank you.